Terminal C at Reagan National Airport was packed. Saturday afternoon, the kind of controlled chaos that happens when a major flight gets delayed and 300 people suddenly have nowhere to be except a gate that can't accommodate them all. Families sprawled across seats, business travelers paced with phones pressed to ears, children ran between rows of chairs while parents shouted warnings about getting lost. The departure board flashed red, delayed, 2 hours and counting. Near gate C-17, Rebecca Stone sat with perfect posture despite the plastic airport chair. 39 years old, CEO of Meridian Pharmaceuticals, a $7 billion empire that developed life-saving drugs. She wore white, a designer blazer that somehow looked crisp despite travel, diamond studs, a watch that cost more than most people's cars. Her phone was pressed to her ear, her third conference call in an hour. "I don't care about the FDA timeline," she said crisply. "We need to accelerate, push the trials, hire more staff, whatever it takes. Lives are at stake." Ironic words, lives are at stake. Because 10 feet away, her 8-year-old daughter sat alone, and Rebecca hadn't looked at her in 45 minutes. Sophia Stone was a beautiful child, dark hair pulled into neat braids, wearing a pink dress, her favorite color. She sat cross-legged in a chair, drawing in a notebook, quiet, well-behaved, invisible. Sophia was deaf, profoundly, born that way, no hearing at all. She communicated entirely through American Sign Language, fluently, beautifully. Her hands moved like poetry when she signed. But her mother didn't know ASL, had never learned. 2 years of classes started and abandoned. Too busy, too overwhelmed, too scared of entering a world she didn't understand. Sophia had initially resisted when the doctors suggested cochlear implants, afraid of making Sophia different. Then she'd overcompensated with control instead. The best schools, the best therapists, the best everything money could buy, except the one thing that mattered, learning to speak her daughter's language. So Sophia sat in silence, or what Rebecca interpreted as silence. But the deaf community would tell you there's no such thing as silence in ASL. There's just communication hearing people can't understand. Sophia looked up from her drawing, bored, restless. She signed to her mother, "Mom, how much longer?" Rebecca glanced over, saw hands moving, smiled vaguely, returned to her call. Sophia's hands dropped. She was used to this, used to being unseen even when she was trying to be heard. She went back to her drawing, a picture of an airplane, taking them somewhere, anywhere but this crowded terminal. Across the gate area, Marcus Chen stood near the security checkpoint, 37 years old, airport security supervisor. He wore a white uniform shirt and a yellow security badge clipped to his chest. His job was to watch, observe patterns, notice things out of place, keep people safe. Beside him, his 9-year-old son Ethan sat doing homework. The boy wore a red jacket despite the warm terminal. He was deaf too, profoundly, just like Sophia, though they didn't know each other. Marcus and Ethan communicated entirely in ASL, hands moving constantly, fluid, natural, a conversation invisible to most people around them. Marcus signed, "Finish your math, we'll get food when this shift ends." Ethan signed back, "Can we get pizza?" "Maybe, if you finish all 10 problems." "That's bribery, Dad. That's motivation. There's a difference." Ethan grinned, returned to his worksheet. Marcus had learned ASL when Ethan was a baby. His wife Laura, Ethan's mother, had insisted. The moment the diagnosis came, she'd enrolled them both in classes, made it non-negotiable. This was their son's language. They would speak it, period. Marcus had been slower than Laura, resistant at first. He'd been an EMT, a medical interpreter. He'd wanted Ethan to adapt to the hearing world, get implants, learn to lip read, make things easier. But Laura had been fierce. Easier for who? For us or for him? He's perfect as he is. We're the ones who need to change. She had been right, as always. Laura had died 2 years ago. Sudden brain aneurysm. She'd collapsed at home while Marcus was at work. By the time he got there, the paramedics were already loading her into the ambulance. She died before reaching the hospital. Marcus had quit his EMT job that month. Couldn't face medical emergencies anymore. Every call reminded him of the one that mattered most, the one he'd missed, the one where he'd failed to save her. He'd taken this security job instead, quieter, safer, just watching, observing, keeping people safe in small, manageable ways. It wasn't saving lives, but it was something. He scanned the gate area now, habit, training, looking for anything out of place, anyone in distress, His eyes caught on something. A child, the little girl in pink, sitting alone. She was looking at something, pointing. Her hands were moving, rapidly, urgently. Marcus watched and recognized immediately. ASL. She was signing. Fast, distressed. But nobody was responding. Nobody was even looking. Subscribe to Becca's Stories so these moments keep finding you. Sophia had noticed it 3 minutes ago. The electrical outlet on the wall behind the seating area. Low, near the floor, hidden behind luggage and bags people had piled against the wall. It was sparking. Small at first, then smoking. Thin wisps, getting worse. From her low angle, sitting cross-legged in the chair, she could see it clearly, but standing adults couldn't. The bags blocked their view. The angle was wrong. Sophia knew what smoke meant, knew it was dangerous, knew someone needed to know. She turned to her mother, signed frantically, "Mom, fire, smoke, behind the wall, danger." Rebecca glanced over, saw hands moving, smiled absently. "Not now, honey. Mommy's busy." Turned back to her call. "Yes, I'm still here. Sorry, my daughter. Continue." Sophia's hands dropped, frustration building. She tried again, more urgent, more emphatic. "Mom, fire, look!" Rebecca looked annoyed this time, covered her phone. "Sophia, please, I'm on an important call. Play quietly. I'll be done soon." She didn't even glance at what Sophia was pointing at, just dismissed the signs as random gestures, playing, being a kid. Sophia stood, went to the nearest adult, a businessman in his suit, tapped his arm, signed, "Fire, smoke, wall, danger, please." The man looked startled, pulled away, looked at her hands moving, confusion on his face, then mild annoyance. I can't understand you, kid. Where's your mom?" He walked away. Sophia tried another adult, a woman with headphones. Same result. Confusion, dismissal, mild discomfort at a child gesturing wildly. Nobody understood. Nobody even tried. The smoke was getting thicker. Sophia could see it clearly now, rising from behind the bags. The outlet was sparking more. This was bad. This was dangerous. She felt panic rising. She was trying to warn people, trying to save them, and nobody would listen because nobody spoke her language. Across the gate area, Marcus had been watching the entire sequence, training kicking in, observer mode. The child wasn't playing. She was distressed, pointing at the same spot repeatedly, trying to get adults' attention, failing, getting more agitated. Something was wrong. Marcus walked over, calm, steady, knelt down to her eye level. Sophia saw him, saw his uniform, security. Maybe he'd understand. Maybe... She signed desperately. "Fire, smoke, wall, behind bags, danger, please." And Marcus signed back. "Where? Show me. Slow down. I'm listening." Sophia froze, stared. Someone had responded, in her language, actually understood. Relief flooded through her. She grabbed his hand, pulled him toward the wall, pointed at the smoking outlet hidden behind luggage. Marcus looked, saw the smoke, saw the sparking, understood immediately. He pulled his radio calmly. "Security, this is Chen.
Code red, electrical fire, gate C17, behind the seating wall. Evacuate the area. Calm and controlled. I've got eyes on it. Send fire suppression, now. Then he turned back to Sophia. Signed, you did good. You saved people. Thank you. Stay with me. You're safe. Sophia nodded, stayed beside him, feeling seen for the first time all day. Security moved fast, calm but efficient. People were directed away from the gate. Fire suppression arrived. The outlet was extinguished quickly. Small fire, contained, no injuries. But it could have been catastrophic if it had spread, if nobody had noticed until it was too late, if a deaf 8-year-old hadn't seen it, and if someone had finally listened. Rebecca ended her call abruptly when she heard evacuate, looked up, confused, alarmed, saw her daughter, standing beside a security supervisor, both of them using sign language, hands moving, Sophia looking relieved, animated, the way she never looked with Rebecca. Rebecca walked over. What's happening? Is she okay? Marcus looked up. Your daughter just saved a lot of people. She spotted an electrical fire, tried to warn everyone. Nobody understood her. I did. We contained it. A fire? She tried to... Rebecca looked at Sophia, at her small face, at her hands that had been moving frantically 20 minutes ago, hands Rebecca had dismissed as random play. Oh, God, Rebecca whispered. I told her I was busy. She was trying to tell me, and I didn't listen. Marcus stood. You didn't understand. There's a difference. Do you know ASL? No, I've tried to learn, but I'm always too busy, and she has interpreters at school, and I just... She stopped, heard how it sounded. I should have learned. Yes, Marcus said simply. You should have.
An airport ASL interpreter arrived 20 minutes later. Marcus had requested one, insisted. This mother and daughter needed to communicate, really communicate. The interpreter sat between them. I'm here to help translate. Sophia, do you want to tell your mom what happened? Sophia's hands moved, fluid, emotional. The interpreter voiced, I tried to tell Mommy. Fire, danger, behind the wall. She didn't look, didn't understand. Nobody understood. Nobody would listen to my hands. They saw me pointing and moving and they thought I was just playing. But I was screaming. I was screaming and nobody heard me. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I didn't know. I thought... Sophia signed again. Interpreter voiced, you never know. You don't learn my words. You want me to speak your way, with my voice. But I don't have a voice like yours. I have this. She gestured to her hands. And when I needed you to see me, really see me, you were looking at your phone. The words hit like physical blows. Rebecca covered her mouth. You're right. God, you're right. I've been so focused on making you fit into my world that I never tried to enter yours. It's not too late, the interpreter said gently, not translating now, just offering. ASL classes, immersion programs. It's never too late to learn to speak your child's language. Rebecca nodded, couldn't speak, just nodded. Sophia signed one more thing, small, quiet. The interpreter voiced, the man in yellow understood me, right away. He listened with his eyes, not his ears. That's how you listen to deaf people, Mommy, with your eyes, and you never look. Rebecca broke completely, reached for her daughter, held her. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll do better, I promise. I'll learn. I'll look. I'll see you. Sophia hugged her back, small arms tight, hopeful, scared to hope, but hoping anyway. Later, after the fire was fully contained, after the flight was rebooked, after the terminal had returned to controlled chaos, Rebecca found Marcus near the security office. "Can I talk to you?" Marcus looked up, tired. End of a long shift. "Sure. You saved everyone today. You understood my daughter when nobody else would, when I didn't. How did you know ASL?" "My son is deaf, Ethan." Marcus gestured to the boy sitting nearby. Red jacket, still doing homework. Profoundly deaf, born that way. My wife and I learned ASL when he was a baby. Well, she learned immediately. I was slower. "Why?" "Fear, mostly. I was an EMT, medical interpreter. I'd seen deaf patients struggle in emergencies, miscommunication, delays, danger. I wanted Ethan to adapt to the hearing world, get implants, learn to read lips, make things easier. For him, I told myself, but really for me." Marcus sat down, gestured for Rebecca to join him. "My wife Laura wouldn't have it. She said Ethan was perfect as he was, that we needed to change, not him. So she made me learn, pushed me. And she was right. ASL isn't a limitation, it's a language. Beautiful, complete, rich. Once I learned it, really learned it, I understood my son in ways I never could have otherwise." "What happened to your wife?" Rebecca asked quietly. Marcus's face tightened. "Brain aneurysm, 2 years ago. Sudden. She collapsed at home while I was working here at the airport. Security job. Thought it would be safer than EMT work. Fewer emergencies, more predictable." He paused, swallowed hard. "I got the call that she'd collapsed. Raced home, but the paramedics were already there, already loading her. I rode in the ambulance, but I was checking my work phone, texting my supervisor about my shift, about coverage, about stupid, meaningless things. And she died. Died while I was 3 feet away. And I missed it. Missed being fully present for her final moments. Just like I'd missed so many moments because I was distracted, busy, important." "I'm so sorry," Rebecca whispered. "I quit EMT work after that. Couldn't face medical emergencies. Every call reminded me of the one I'd missed, the one that mattered. So I stayed here. Security. Watching. Observing. Trying to catch things before they become emergencies. Trying to be present for once." He looked at Rebecca directly. "Your daughter tried to warn you today. Used her language, her voice, and you dismissed it because you haven't learned to listen in the way she speaks. I'm not judging you. I was you once. Resistant, afraid, wanting my child to fit my world instead of entering his. But Laura taught me. And now I'm trying to honor her by seeing people, really seeing them, especially the ones who speak differently." Rebecca nodded slowly. "You said it's not too late to learn ASL. Do you believe that?" "I do. If you commit, really commit, not just classes you abandon when work gets busy, full immersion. Your daughter needs you to enter her world, not next year, now, before she learns to stop trying, before she learns to be invisible." "She already has learned that," Rebecca said, voice breaking. "She tried to save lives today, and I dismissed her. What kind of mother?" "The kind who can still change," Marcus interrupted gently. "Learn ASL. Communicate with her. Really communicate. And then use your power, your money, your platform, your company, to help other families like yours, like mine. Make the world more accessible, more understanding. That's how you honor what happened today. Not with guilt, with action." Rebecca met his eyes. "Will you help me? Teach me? I'll pay. I don't want money, but I'll help Sophia. Teach her more ASL. Connect her with deaf community kids her age. Give her what Ethan has, a world where she's not invisible, where her hands are her voice and everyone listens. Thank you, truly. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you can sign a full conversation with your daughter, when you can listen with your eyes instead of your ears, when she doesn't have to scream in silence anymore. I will," Rebecca promised. "I'll do whatever it takes."
Rebecca Stone didn't do anything halfway, never had. When she committed to something, she went all in. Monday morning, she enrolled in an intensive ASL immersion program. 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. Sophia came with her, taught her, corrected her, laughed at her mistakes, celebrated her progress. Within 2 weeks, Rebecca could hold basic conversations. Within a month, she was fluent enough to discuss Sophia's day, her feelings, her dreams. Within 2 months, she was dreaming in ASL, thinking in it, seeing the world through her daughter's eyes, or rather, through her daughter's hands. She hired Marcus as a consultant, not for security, for something bigger. I want to create an accessibility division at Meridian Pharmaceuticals focused on deaf patient communication, medical interpreters, visual emergency alerts, ensuring deaf people aren't endangered by communication gaps in healthcare settings. I want you to direct it. Marcus hesitated. I'm security, not medical anymore. You were an EMT, a medical interpreter. You understand both worlds. You're exactly who should be doing this, and it would honor Laura. Make sure what happened to her, being alone without communication, doesn't happen to others. Marcus's eyes filled. She would have loved that. Then say yes, for her, for Sophia, for Ethan, for every deaf person who's been invisible in an emergency. Marcus nodded. Yes, for Laura. Rebecca also created a foundation, Sophia's Voice, $15 million, dedicated to ASL education, deaf awareness programs, and emergency response training for first responders. And she named the Medical Interpreter Scholarship Program after Laura Chen, making sure deaf interpreters, people like Marcus had been, could enter the field without crushing debt. Over 6 months, Rebecca transformed. Not just her ASL skills, her entire perspective. She started attending deaf community events with Sophia, watching deaf theater, supporting deaf artists, entering the world she'd been afraid of for 8 years. And Sophia blossomed, no longer invisible, no longer dismissed, seen, heard, valued.
6 months after the airport incident, Meridian Pharmaceuticals hosted an event. The first graduating class of emergency responders who'd completed comprehensive ASL training through Sophia's Voice Foundation. 847 firefighters, paramedics, police officers, and security personnel, all now certified in emergency ASL communication. Rebecca stood on stage, and for the first time in her career, she gave a speech entirely in ASL, voiced simultaneously by an interpreter, but her hands led. 6 months ago, my daughter tried to save lives. She saw danger, tried to warn people, and nobody listened because nobody spoke her language, including me, especially me. Her hands moved with increasing confidence, emotion clear in every gesture. A man named Marcus Chen changed that. He listened with his eyes, responded in her language, saved everyone. And then he taught me, taught all of us, that accessibility isn't accommodation, it's justice. It's seeing people, really seeing them, in the language they speak. Sophia stood beside her mother on stage, wearing pink, proud, visible. Marcus sat in the front row with Ethan, both in red and yellow, watching, witnessing the change they'd helped create. Rebecca continued signing. This program exists because of 3 people: Sophia Stone, who refused to be invisible, Marcus Chen, who refused to let her be dismissed, and Laura Chen, who taught her husband and now teaches all of us that love means entering someone else's world, not forcing them into yours. The audience erupted in applause, but also in something else. Hands raised, shaking, the deaf community's version of applause, silent to hearing ears, thunderous to those who understood. Rebecca signed her final words. To every deaf person watching, you are not invisible. Your language is not less. Your voice matters, and we're listening. Finally, we're listening. 1 year after that day at the airport, Rebecca and Sophia returned to Terminal C, Gate C-17. Same gate, same area, but different now. Visual alert systems installed throughout the terminal, flashing lights for emergencies, screens showing text announcements, ASL interpreters available at every gate, and every single security officer, including Marcus, now director of accessibility for the entire airport system, fluent in emergency ASL. They stood where Sophia had sat that day, where she'd tried to warn people, where she'd been dismissed. "Do you remember?" Rebecca signed to her daughter. Sophia nodded, signed back, "I remember being scared. Nobody would listen. I thought the building would burn. I thought people would die because I couldn't make them hear me." "But you did make us hear," Rebecca signed. "Eventually, you saved everyone. You were the hero." "Marcus was the hero," Sophia corrected. "He listened." "You were both heroes," Rebecca affirmed. "You saw the danger, he saw you. Together, you saved lives. That's what heroes do." Across the terminal, Marcus was training new security staff, teaching them ASL, teaching them to watch, to observe, to see beyond what's obvious. A deaf child approached him, maybe 10 years old, lost, separated from parents, scared. Marcus knelt down, signed, "You're safe, I'll help you. What's your name?" The child's face transformed, relief, recognition, someone who understood. Marcus helped find the parents, reunited the family. Another small moment, another crisis averted, another person seen. Later, the four of them, Rebecca, Sophia, Marcus, and Ethan, met for dinner. Chosen family, built on tragedy, built on learning, built on being willing to enter each other's worlds. At the restaurant, they signed throughout the meal, fluid, natural, beautiful. Other diners stared sometimes, curious, uncertain, but the four of them didn't care. They were having a conversation, rich, full, complete, just in a language most people couldn't hear. On the wall of the airport, near security, hung a plaque, "Laura Chen Memorial Accessible Safety Program," in honor of Laura Chen, who taught us that love means learning someone else's language, and in recognition of Sophia Stone, whose silent warning saved lives when someone finally listened. Below it, a photo, Laura at a medical call, interpreting, smiling, helping. And beside it, a photo of Sophia at the airport, pointing at the wall, trying to warn, and Marcus, kneeling, signing back, listening. The moment everything changed. Because one man chose to listen with his eyes instead of his ears, one girl refused to stop screaming even though nobody could hear, and one mother learned that silence isn't empty, it's just a different kind of voice. And that voice, those hands, those eyes, that beautiful invisible language deserves to be heard. No, deserves to be seen.
Sometimes, the loudest warnings are silent. Sometimes the most important voices speak with hands instead of mouths. And sometimes saving lives means learning to listen in a language you've never heard. Because the people screaming the loudest are often the ones nobody's watching. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. Hearing from our global community inspires us to create more stories that matter. Subscribe so we can keep sharing moments like these. Subscribe to Becca's Stories for more emotional narratives.